Okay, so what we've done here is we've gone to our computer and we've started up the Firefox browser, and just to verify what we did a second ago with the DVR, we're going to type in our internal IP address, which is the IP address we'd use if we were on a local network with our DVR, which we are right now. And the number that we'd written down was going to be http:// and then it's going to be 192.168.2.58, and then we changed the port number, which is the 88 at the end. So you're going to want to make sure every time you do this to put in 88, and that's going to be the port number that we're going to use. So if we put in 88 and we hit enter, we can see how we get the DVR settings here for the machine that we just set up. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and exit out of this, and we're going to go ahead and log into our router right now. So we'll go into our router settings, and your router may have a different number to access it than ours. Ours is 192.168.2.1. Yours might have a 1.0 at the end instead of a 2.1 or a 1.1, but ours is 2.1, so we're going to hit enter. And that's going to take us to our router setup. This is a Zyxel router, and basically what we need to do at this point is open a port on the router to allow incoming signals to be forwarded to that DVR. What we've done here is we're now in the setup here, and we need to go to the advanced settings. And on each router it's going to be different. A good website to go to for help with port forwarding, which is a terminology that they use for what we're doing here, is portforward.com. They have a section where you can see how to do port forwarding on your particular router. But for our sake here, we're going to be using our own router, which we know how to do. We're going to click on virtual servers. You have different settings here: access control, special applications, WAN port. We don't need any of that. What we need is virtual servers. Okay, so we click on that, and this is what it says here, is that it's going to redirect common network services to a specific machine behind your firewall. And our DVR is going to be a machine behind our firewall that we need to connect to from remote. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to type in the local IP address, which is that number that we had written down a second ago, which is 192.168.2.58. That's going to be the IP address that we're trying to access remotely. For protocol, it's either going to be TCP, UDP, one or the other, or both. We'll just leave it at both. That's not really an issue right now. The port range we had said was going to be 88. So we enter a starting port of 88 and an ending port of 88. And for our description, we'll go ahead and give it the description of DVR number 2. We already have a DVR on here and everything like that, so we'll just rename it DVR2, and we'll hit the save button. And it says that I've overlapped ports, so what we need to do is probably go ahead and we'll delete this one, the previous one that we have here. We'll delete the selected. We'll hit OK. Okay, now we don't have one that we don't have a DVR that's on, or any machine that's on port 88, so we can go ahead and assign our new DVR to port 88. So now you can see down here in the current virtual server table that we only have port 86 and ports 1159 through 1162 that are utilized. So again, we're going to go to 192.168.2.58 as our local IP address. Port range again is going to be 88 through 88, and we'll call this DVR number 2, and we'll hit the save button. And again, what this is doing is we're already connected to our DVR on our local network, which you don't need to go into your modem or your router in order to configure it for your local network. But in order to access it over the internet, you need to do this particular function. Okay, so we've went ahead and done that. Now, certain systems, there might be a couple other settings you need to do. For instance, you may have from your internet service provider both a modem and a router separately that are independent components. And occasionally, if in certain circumstances, you need to do what they call bridging, which is putting your modem into bridge mode to allow your router to assign IP addresses versus having your modem assign an IP address. So that's an extra type of situation that you might encounter. Also, too, some of these modems and routers have what they call NAT settings on them, and you may have to. Some of these default settings are to where outside wide area network requests to local area network requests are disabled, and you may have to actually enable that. And on this particular machine here, that's not actually a setting that we have to change. It's not under any of these menus, so we're good to go as far as accessing our components remotely over a wide area network, which is basically terminology meaning the internet. So what we're going to do now is log out of our router. Okay, we'll hit OK. And the way we're going to test whether or not that this worked, what we just did worked over the internet, is we're going to use our IP address, not our internal IP address, but our external. So we'll open up a new Firefox window here, and the IP address that we have assigned for our store is a number that was given to us by CenturyLink, which is our internet service provider. They provide we pay extra monthly fee anywhere. We pay about $10 a month. I've seen them as low as $5 and up to $20 a month for a static IP address. And what that means is that your IP address never changes, so you can use this IP address in order to access components over the internet, and you don't have to remember a bunch of different numbers. With a dynamic IP address versus static, your dynamic address changes whenever the power goes out, whenever you get whenever the modem resets or anything like that, and what number you type in today may not be the same as the number you type in tomorrow. Okay, so we have a static IP, so we're going to check this over the internet. We're going to go to our static IP. In this instance, it's and what you want to do, you want to make sure you type in that HTTP colon and the two slashes there, the forward slashes. If you don't type those in, if you just cut and paste them, sometimes this does not work, so you're going to want to type these in by hand. Okay, so we did that, and we're going to type in our IP address, which is 69.69.239.192, and then we're going to put in the colon and then the port number that we used, which was 88. Okay, so if we hit enter here, you can see that it asks for authentication here, a username and password, and it says the site says DVR. So what that's telling me is that I'm able to access that DVR from an internet connection versus just from our local network. So the username and password is default is usually going to be admin, ADMIN. We'll hit OK. And then as you can see here, we can get to the Dvr settings menu. And as far as configuration with a Mac, that will be done with another video and everything like that. So we're not going to get into why it says here to download another program that does not support the Internet Explorer browser. That's because of the fact that we're using a Macintosh computer right now, and we need to download a separate program. So we know that we can access the cameras remotely. And then to verify that we can see a camera feed, we'll type in iPhone.html, which iPhone is made by Apple, so this should work here if I hit enter. And there you can see we have the one camera view that we have plugged into our DVR. And from this setting we can change to the second camera, which we don't have set up, but it will go ahead and switch over here in a second and show you a second screen. And since there isn't a camera, it may not do that. Okay. But this concludes our demonstration of how to tie your new DVR up to your internet connection. And this is something that we provide as a service to our customers who purchase DVRs from us. A normal fee for something like this, if we come out to your house, is $49.95. And if you find this to be a little more challenging than something you'd like to take on, that's something that we can and do provide to you. And in a lot of cases, we can even do it remotely via remote access programs. And this concludes our demonstration.